just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good.
All right. Can everyone hear me in the back? We good? Okay. Well, thanks for the introduction. My favorite social media channel is my dog's Instagram. If you look at my travel blog, that Instagram is failing. I mean, it's not failing, but I haven't posted in like a week, I don't think. But she did a great intro, but yes, I've done SEO for a bunch of different companies, including Whole Foods, who hired their first SEO manager in 2015. But now I work on Honeymoon Always, which is my own site. Been full-time on it since October 1st. But I have a question. Who here finds SEO confusing? Okay, or like the more you learn about it, it just like keeps getting more and more confusing all the time? Okay, so I have two quotes here from the CEOs of big brands. The first one, I don't know if you guys can read in the back, but the one from Elon Musk was like a couple weeks ago. He was trying to direct people to the solar panels, the roof that he has now, and he was offering $1,000 off to, I believe it was the California fire victims, but you couldn't find it via Google. So even a big brand like Tesla struggles with SEO sometimes, and since then they fixed it because they got called down on Twitter bad. Because you should be able to rank for your branded terms. It would take a 5-minute phone call to sort that out. And then on the other hand, you have Gwyneth Paltrow, who's the CEO of Goop, and in an interview with Vanity Fair, she brought up SEO. They were talking about negative press, and her response was, well, negative press is great for my SEO. And they rank really well for things like detox and celery juice because of all the links they get from all the bad press. So when you look at SEO from big brands, it's all over the place. But in general, some of the advantages that big brands have is their authority, so it makes it easier for them to rank the content they do have. They have big budgets that they could use for SEO if they want to. They can afford SEO talent, and they can break rules and still rank for things. The disadvantages, they're usually slow moving. They're confined by brand guidelines that we don't have as bloggers. Even though they might seem like they have big budgets, the digital marketing team is going to have to fight for them, for those dollars to make things happen. They're not scrappy, and they may overly rely on other marketing efforts. So, for example, I'm wearing Adidas, but I was wearing Nikes yesterday. Nike just hired their first SEO in-house person, or at least they were trying to hire in the last 6 months. I know the largest cookware company, they don't have an SEO strategy. So even though some big brands are killing it with SEO, there's still tons that don't really try too much because they rely on retailers, they rely on PR, they rely on other things that move their business along, and they haven't really tried SEO too much. We see this a lot. As I was preparing this presentation, I was looking for a resort in Puerto Rico that had a private plunge pool. I know that's super long tail, and I'm like one of 5 people that searched that last month. But TripAdvisor ranked for it, and there were no resorts with private plunge pools in their results. Is that too much to ask for? Anyway, we're going to talk about how we can beat these big brands by doing better than them at SEO, on-page SEO in our content. And then we're going to talk about how we can learn from big brands to use PR and building our own authority to rank. All right, so on-page SEO, talked about this. They rank for all sorts of crazy stuff that doesn't make sense. But I bet you are too. If you have a blog that's getting some sort of amount of traffic, I bet you're ranking for stuff that doesn't make sense. Okay, great. So this is how you find it. Google Search Console, I hope you've used it. But in there, here's my example. This was probably so 2 years ago I took this cruise, and I wrote a post about it, our first Caribbean cruise. And about 6 months ago, I noticed I was getting a lot of traffic to it. So I went into Google Search Console, looked at the queries I was getting traffic to, and I was ranking for cruises out of Galveston. So that doesn't make sense. The cruise was on a Galveston, but I used the word like one time in the whole post, so it just was like, I don't know why this is happening. So I revised the post to make it called Cruises on a Galveston. What is available in which to choose? So I still talked about my cruise that I took, but really focused on that keyword, Cruises on a Galveston, republished it, and then saw the traffic go up. So how do you do that? I like to pair Google Search Console with the Chrome extension Keywords Everywhere. Is anyone else using Keywords Everywhere right now? All right, it's gotten pretty popular. It's paid now. When I about a month ago, they became paid. It's still super cheap. I do my keyword research in batches. So since it's been paid, I've only done like one batch of keyword research, and it cost me $4 because it's based on your usage. But when you do that, this is what Google Search Console looks like. You add in all of this good stuff here. And the main thing I look at is the keyword volume. So these are my top queries, or I think it was page 2. But I rank for Alaska honeymoon. I'm seeing that page gets 2,200 impressions in, I think this is 90 days. But I know that there's 1,600 there's monthly searches for that keyword. So when you go into Search Console, the way you can find this for your site is up top of the performance, what's it called? Overview, performance overview. You hit this little plus button right here, and you can add in filters. So you can filter for the exact page that you want to see the queries you're ranking for. And then you can look at those and see, like, do these queries make sense, or can I better optimize for this page based on the keywords that you're seeing? These are all pretty aligned with that post. It was a post about Colorado cabins, so everything's pretty aligned there, but I see romantic in there. Maybe I could add something about making any cabin romantic or something like that. I don't know. But you should find tons of keywords that you can better optimize for, or even create a brand new post for. Another great thing you do is search by click-through rate. So same page, you can just click on the CTR, and you'll find keywords that have high impressions but low click-through rates, so you're not getting much traffic for it. This was from a recipe website. You can see they have like chalupa, almost 52,000 impressions, but they're only getting 156 clicks. So huge mix match there. But it makes sense. They're in position 10, so they're not going to get a bunch of clicks, but that's a huge opportunity. I'm going to take a drink of water. All right, so now it's time to make some improvements. So first thing you need to do is review the search results, see who you're competing with. And see, like, for recipes, like, are your reviews low? You can see that top one just has 3 stars versus others that have 5 stars. Even if you're ranked below them, you could probably get the clicks. Review your title tag, review your meta description, review your rich snippets, see if there's any more you can add. I'll say, I'm not going to talk about like actually optimizing a title tag or optimizing a meta description. If you need to learn that, I'm in the group Make Traffic Happen. And who else is in there? Okay, not as popular as I thought. But they do a great job explaining all that with their ebooks that are super affordable. I've told them to raise their prices. And they also have a video course too that you can take. So if you need that real specific stuff, that's what I'll send you. There's also the Moz Beginner's Guide. You might want to look at that, but it's really long. Okay, in addition, look at the whole search result. So this is on mobile because we're all mobile first. I know 80% of my traffic comes from mobile, so quit looking at desktop when you're looking at this. But the keyword for chalupa has a recipe carousel, and then it has a little section from Wikipedia, and then a people also ask, and then you get to your first organic top result. I was looking at a study, I forget who did it, but basically in the last year, 8% of the traffic that Google has sent to websites organically has dropped 8% overall. And that's because they're staying on Google more. So they might go to this people also ask tab. There's also the related search section, like people might click there. So we're seeing that go down in general. And when you look at a search result like this, there's so much here that they could click on that's not the top result or even in the carousel. So when you're doing keyword research, you need to search each keyword and see what's coming back to see is it even worth it. Because even if this was like super non-competitive, you had the perfect post for it, if you're ranked number 3, you're like so far down, it's like might not be worth going after. So keep that in mind. And then you want to see what is ranking. For Chalupa, we've got this post. It's a Mediavine blog, so I don't know if they're here. But they're doing good. And they're covering within that post all of these different topics. So once you've found keywords that you want to rank for, stop thinking them as a keyword, but think about them as an overall topic that you want to cover. So this person has covered like everything you could want to know about chalupas, I think. And because that they're ranking well. In comparison, here's food.com, who is ranked on the 10th position. And you can see, like, just go make your post better than what you're seeing ranked number 1. When you're doing that, some people might say, like, oh, go put the keyword in this many times, or make sure it's all these places. And that's all important, but number 1 is think about the user. I could go into data about how Google's actually looking at user behavior to change rankings, but I will spare you that. Just think about the user. So for example, add a table of contents. Not only does that help the user click down to like what they're actually trying to get to, but you're automatically adding in keywords. So this is actually halfway down my Disney honeymoon post. I have just another little section that allows them to jump further down to what they're exactly looking for. And you can see I've naturally incorporated, without trying, I didn't try to do this, but I've got Disney in there like 3 times, Disney World, resort as a keyword. So you're naturally incorporating all these keywords when you add this navigation into your page. Add conclusions or cheat sheets. You could also do like summaries at the top, add new related sections. I thought, these are just ideas, but like for a recipe, you could add a cost breakdown. Tables are good for showing up in search. Here's one from vacationid.com where they do a slideshow, and I don't like slideshows, but and Google doesn't care for them either, but on the bottom of their slideshow, they had a list of the resorts that are included in the slideshow, and that earned them this top spot for, I think I was searching for Colorado getaways or something. So all these extra things help overall by naturally incorporating keywords, and then Google can pull from them when they're creating rich snippets or featured snippets and all that stuff that they're throwing into the search results right now. All right, the next thing I would recommend everyone here do is to go on the Google Webmaster blog where they explain what EAT means. Who's heard of the, worry about EAT? EAT stands for expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And when that shift happened, August 1st, everyone was like thinking about what that means, and they thought they needed PhDs to be an expert or a badge that said they were an expert. That's not what it means. And they tell you exactly what it means in this blog post, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but some are like, are there spelling errors? And I think, like, logically, if someone has a bunch of spelling errors, I'm not going to trust what they're saying. Does your content provide more value than other pages in the search result? And how can you show expertise through the content that you're creating, regardless of your credentials or any other thing that someone might tell you shows your expertise? But go read the blog post. It's from Google. Sometimes people say, like, what Google puts out isn't exactly true, but like this blog post is pretty spot on. Like, you can read it, and it's great. And then once you've changed your website, like a certain post, go submit it to Google for indexing. Who uses this? All right, good amount. But this tool has gone back and forth between like being really useful and not. And now whenever I submit a URL to it, within like minutes I see the search result change. Not my ranking, but like I'll see the title tag change, the meta description change. So Google is actually crawling these in and listening to them, and it's within Google Search Console. All right, so now we're talking about creating new content and how can we beat big brands. Number one is to stay niche and to focus on low competition keywords. And some people think, well, when I say niche, I don't mean like you have to always post about the same stuff. That just means like keyword groupings that you're gonna go niche within. So like for my website, I have like probably 5 that I'm going after right now that are different groups of keywords that I'm going really deep into. So it doesn't have to be like you're picking one from day one and you're gonna go deeper and deeper and deeper. You can go broader, but just try to find niches that you can go deeper than anyone else is doing. And here is how I like to find low competition keywords. First is the brainstorm. So get some friends together, maybe some other bloggers, and think about what's working, what topics you want to write about, anything you found in Google Search Console you could go deeper into. Look at your competition for ideas, and then search on Google and see the related terms. So do that without even looking at search volume, but just get all your ideas together. Then my favorite tool is Keyword Finder. And it's KW Finder, or if you want to use my bit.ly, then I'll get like some love there. After I have those keyword ideas, I plug them into here. And for those who can't see, I've put in the keyword Spain desserts. And what it does is it gives me that keyword's information, but it also gives me related keywords. And from here, you can sort by keyword difficulty. So you're getting some information on the keyword you put in, but what I love is all the other related keywords it gives me and helps me find non-competitive keywords. So I typed in Spain dessert, sorted by keyword difficulty. They put keyword difficulty on a scale from 0 to 100. And from there, I now have like 12 ideas that work in the same kind of realm. So I have Peruvian desserts, Irish desserts, Canadian desserts, Hungarian desserts, African desserts, Korean desserts, Russian desserts, all fairly non-competitive. Yeah.
Can you just define non-competitive? You said 0 to 100 difficulty. I don't get it.
So this tool is gonna look.
Does that mean it's really competitive?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, they're gonna look at the search results and see, based on the other sites that are already ranking, how hard is it gonna be to get in that mix with them.
So if you're at 0, it's good.
Yes.
Okay.
So all these, this goes from 17 to 29, and it really depends on your site how well you can compete. So like I know my site, I think I can go for like a 30 pretty easily. But if you're a brand new site, like you might want to try to find the ones that are in the 20s or lower. I'm going to take some questions at the end. Okay. But you can see here, if you're a food blogger, like go after desserts by country, or a travel blogger, you can do that too. But that's an example of just using one keyword that came out of my head for an idea. I don't remember how I came across this. I was probably researching Spain and then found Spain desserts. But then you get all these related terms, and you can find low difficulty terms that are perfect for you. Also with this, you still need to go check the search results, because even if it's less competitive, if you're still like way down the page, even if you rank high, then you may change your strategy. All right, cheaper option if you don't, that's $30 a month, I think, ish. If you want a cheaper option, go install the Moz plugin and still go with keywords everywhere. So we're talking a couple bucks. And you can do the same search in Google, and keywords everywhere is going to inject the search volume there, and then you got the search volume here for related keywords. And then you got domain authority here, so you can look at the pages that are ranking for that query and see their domain authority. If domain authority is a ranking by Moz, who doesn't know what a domain authority is? All right, good. Okay, so you can kind of look down the page and see like are there some domain authorities that are similar to you that make you think you can actually show up on the first page. All right, we talked about going niche and but you really want to go deep into it. For example, we'll just go with the desserts again. You can do a whole section on your website all about international desserts. Then from there, you're linking to the countries. From there, you might link to individual recipes or individual cities, and then all of those are linking back to that main hub, which could be a category page or even just like a long blog post or something like that. And that's what is going to help Google understand what your site's all about, what this section is all about, and going to help those pages rank better. All right, so now we're going to learn from big brands. And the truth is, some blogs are doing a really great job with this. So here are two that I know. One are the Nomadic Boys. They talk about gay travel. And the other one's here today, which is Taste Coco, Jane Coe. She's kind of like the go-to Austin food blogger. Everyone like kind of knows that. And by really making a brand, or another one is our Keynote, Curvy Fashionista. Like that's kind of a go-to now within that community. But I didn't know of her until I came here. For, you know, I'm not the audience. All right, so Jane has so she's the Austin food blogger, and because of that, she's gonna get the traditional link signals that are SEO whenever she's getting her PR. So she just released a book, and her interviews of people talking about her, her book being published are naturally linking back to her website. I reached out to the Nomadic Boys because when I was doing this, I was trying to find bloggers that were doing a great job building links. And I was like, okay, how'd you get this link? How'd you get this link? And one of them was a article that they pitched to a publication, so they got the author bio link back. The other ones, they said they reached out to us because they wanted their opinion on something that was newsworthy, and they were able to contribute that back. So by building your site into a strong brand that people recognize, and they'll come to you to ask your opinion, like that's the golden standard. That's just amazing if you can do that. I haven't been able to do that with my site yet, so hats off. And so when I say building authority, what it comes down to is link building. And we're going to talk about some easy stuff. First one is collaborate with other bloggers. I know this is there's ways to do this on Facebook. We've got the Facebook groups that allow you to contribute to other people's posts. But think better. How else can you collaborate with other bloggers? One thing I don't see happening a lot is different types of bloggers working together. So instead of just doing a collaborative post with a bunch of other travel bloggers, think about how you can work together. Let's interview each other. So Honeymoon Always, I could interview a finance person about how to pay for a honeymoon. But just really think about it, how else can you collaborate with other bloggers so that way you're finding natural ways to link to each other. And I will say, as someone who's tried to build links for all sorts of companies and all sorts of websites, the easiest place to build links to are blogs. So it's just use each other. Okay, podcasts have been mentioned so far, but they're so easy to get a link. All you have to do is be interviewed, and then you get a link to your site. And among the other benefits that have been discussed at this conference already. And then guest post. A lot of people I see making what I consider mistakes with guest posts, but when I go and guest post, I'm looking for either a high authority website that's going to link to me, or I look for something that's a really highly relevant link that I can create. So here's an example. This is my first guest post. So a brand new blogger at the time. When I started my blog, it was 2017. I went to Europe immediately, and my trip was actually paid for because I won it. That was a different story. But I reached out to the places I was going and said, hey, I'm a blogger. Here's my website. I'm staying these dates, and you might be featured on it, right? I don't think this would work today. But I go to the one in France, and the room that was booked for me is the lowest level or whatever, and suddenly I'm on the top floor with a view of the Eiffel Tower and a balcony and stuff. So I just shared that experience with ProBlogger, and it fit their audience perfectly, so they accepted it as a guest post. So that's really the big takeaway here is pitch to people where it's a perfect fit for what you can share with them. Okay, so you can guest post on Honeymoon Always. I get so many pitches daily of people saying, hi, I'm a blogger, I blog about travel, I'd like to write for you. It's no, delete. So, sorry if you pitched me that way. But the other thing is going with relevance. So here is another blog post I did on 52 Perfect Days with Alexa, who's here. But her domain authority isn't as high as ProBlogger, but with them I was able to write a post about Bali that links to my post about Bali in a different way. And that link is extremely relevant. And like, big brands aren't doing this. Big brands aren't finding links to really deep pages on their website, but you can go do a guest post, get like 3, and then that's gonna be better than pretty much any big website's gonna do. All right, some other ways it's a little bit more advanced link building, but organize a newsworthy event. Here's 2 examples. We had some blogger was doing a party for charity. This is like last month when I found these. Like a couple bloggers got together and did a blogger closet sale in the Woodlands. But these all got great links from local press. Partner with brands who are already doing that. So as you're negotiating, look on their website and see if there's a place where the content you're creating could go that they already weren't planning, and ask for that link. You can even do that after the negotiation, like after you've got the deal. Throw them a little extra and be like, hey, I also created this. You could link to it from here and just feed it to them so they know exactly what they could do. Because if you just throw content at them, they're gonna be like, okay, thanks for why don't you post that on Instagram? It's not gonna work. And then image link building. This is something I don't see many bloggers doing. If you make a ton of money from your photography, this probably isn't a good idea for you. But if you don't, what you can do is upload your images onto Flickr and require attribution, and then people can go in there and find images that they need and use your image, but then link back to your website. I could go into that a lot more, but if you just go online and Google image link building, there'll be articles there from authoritative websites to help you out there. But I just went to Chicago. I have a great photo of the skyline that I think is better than other free images. So I can then contact people that are using the other Chicago free images and say, hey, I've got a better one for you. All I ask is you link back to my site. So that can get you a lot of links. And it builds over time too. Okay, so then the hardest part of link building. So this is like pie in the sky. If you guys get this, you guys have to email me and share your success stories because it's just awesome. But REI is a good example of just creating really cool content that naturally gets links. And you might have heard this oh, you gotta create great content that naturally gets links. Okay, here's some examples that naturally gets links, and it's because they're a big brand and they created cool, relevant stuff, right? I'm gonna give you an example of a blogger who did it. This is Asher in Lyric, Asher Ferguson. He went to Paris, had a trouble with his Airbnb. I think it didn't even exist or something. I forget the story. But got scammed by someone on Airbnb and went home, and instead of just writing about it, he analyzed a bunch of other horror stories about Airbnb. It was timely, newsworthy, and very in-depth. And I mean, he's got a bunch of logos here, but I know there's hundreds of links going to this one post on his blog. And if you can do this, it will change your blog completely. A bad example of this is, everyone remember when the Dominican Republic was people were dying on their trips to the Dominican Republic? A couple's travel blog was oh yeah, that happened to us too 6 months ago. And everyone went nuts because it was well, why didn't you say anything? You only said positive things about the DR, but you're saying, you got robbed or whatever happened. And there was all this bad press about them. And my wife shows it to me, and I'm yeah, that's some good link juice. It's gonna do good. It's gonna be good. So after the storm calmed, they got a ton of good links, and I bet their traffic is going nuts right now. But anyway, that's a bad example. But think about what you can talk about. What are you an expert about? I'll give mine. I'm collecting emails right now to do a post about most popular honeymoon destinations. And instead of it just being a roundup, it's gonna have data behind people in the last year who have actually gone on honeymoons. So that's mine. You'll see it in a year or so. So think about that. Another thing, you can work together on these. It's a lot of work. But if you work together, you got more ideas, more resources, and you can create really great content. So in summary, we talked about using Search Console to find really quick wins. You can go make these changes now, and I bet by the end of Q4 you might see some good results so you can get some ad revenue like right now. Do your keyword research, go deep in niche to compete with big brands, and treat your blog like a brand, and then spend some time with link building. I gave you a couple ideas. Think about other ideas you have. If you have ideas how to collaborate with other bloggers, I'm open to collaborate. I'm just like you guys. Oh, and I have to say one more thing. Do not look at my website as an example of SEO. I am one of you, so I have to prioritize my time too, and like December is about structuring my website for SEO. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you learned something. Take away. All right. All right, I got through that really quickly so that I could answer your questions. Go ahead.
So are you using SEMrush at all?
I don't. SEMrush is a great tool. I don't use it just because I don't need it right now. I do use like the free, you get a couple free searches a day or something, so I do use that. Go ahead. Bye.
You talked about right now you're trying to target certain keywords. Can you talk a little bit more about what that strategy is?
So as I've been doing my own keyword research, I've come along like different groups of keywords. Like the Spain dessert one would be like me coming along a group of keywords where I was like looking for something for Spain probably, and then I was like, oh, Spain desserts, that's low. Let me look at this. Oh, all these other country, like searching for desserts plus the country, like those are all low. Like I'm gonna go after this group. Another example would be like we were talking about lower search volume ones. Like if I'm looking for affiliate opportunities and I'm seeing that a group of keywords is a little like, let's say, I'm throwing it out there, actually I kind of know this one. Roller backpacks for like backpackers, like that's a little lower competition. It was when I looked at it a long time ago. So I might go after that group of keywords and make that a focus for a while, like once I find them.
What do you mean by go after? Like,
Oh, okay, yes. So when I say go after, that means I'm gonna create the content that could rank well for that. So I'm gonna review what's ranking, try to make something better than that, and that's me going after it.
so is that like one blog post or 5, like a series?
So it'd start with that main one, and then from there, build off it to go into more detail with additional blogs that support it. I'm gonna go with some other ones, right here.
Do you notice like keyword cannibalization between your categories and your actual posts? Because we have a lot of categories that aren't ranking, and I'm assuming it's because of that, because the posts are getting more traffic and then it's like a cyclical thing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice that, and how do you avoid it if you do?
So I do notice it, and sometimes I think it's a good thing. For example, I have a Colorado honeymoon post, and it used to rank for Denver honeymoons. So then I wrote a Denver honeymoon post, and now that gets all the traffic for that keyword. But that's better for the user, because if they want to go on a Denver honeymoon, I don't want to send them to Colorado as a whole. But what you can do is you can still have some content on the main long post, and maybe like a summary that then links to the more specific post.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So if you find that the keyword is large,
Yeah.
and then search volume is like 90,000,
Okay.
and then you go into Google and you see what's on the first page, and I can beat these guys. How hard is that really? I mean, search volume is really high.
So you hit it on like you're looking at the difficulty. So it's not related to how much the search volume is. So you want to, once you find something that's low difficulty, it really depends on your own website, because if you're really focused on that niche already, or you have related posts already, that's going to make it quicker. If you already have links like depending on how many links you already have and authority you've already built, that's going to make it quicker. So sometimes, like I can write something and it will be ranking within 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes a year and a half.
So really, you're saying focus more on the keyword, not so much the search.
Yes.
volume. Okay.
Well, yeah, you just have to look at the search volume to see like, is it worth it at all for me?
No, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but if it's a low, like say it's a 16, and then it's a 90,000.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
So when you're trying to determine your domain authority, I know
Mhm.
you have the tool there. What's a good threshold? for authority?
So domain authority is it's just about how you compare to your competitors. So it's not about like, I mean, it's a scale from 0 to 100, but it really just depends on your competitors, and you always want to be doing things that will help it. But it's not about like, I don't want to tell you a number. It's just like, it's just go look at your competitors, and that's like somewhere to go. The other thing, it takes a long time to build. So like, I wouldn't say, oh, I only have a domain authority of 15. I'm not going to try. Next year you might have a 40. It might be if you built it well. So, you know, you can kind of plan for the future that way. In the back.
Have you ever noticed that since an article ranks for lots of keywords, do you shoot for like, if you go for a 250 keyword volume search, do you end up getting 1,000 visits a month if you're in the top 5? Like, how do you value the cost of the posts? That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it does happen that way, where like you search, you're targeting a keyword, but you're covering the whole topic, so then you get all this long tail traffic, and you end up getting more traffic than you, like they even have monthly search volumes. That happens if you're writing well. So it's really hard to like put a value on that, but what I do is I just look at my current content and plan backwards, so I know like, okay, if I just make this article match below average on my site, how much money would I make on that? And is it worth it for me to like, I'm gonna guess you're thinking about outsourcing when you talk about value. Yeah, it gets paying someone else to write it.
How much do I pay a writer per word?
Yeah, so I just go over the average, and I do it in batches, so like I'll have someone write 10 articles, and I know like of those 10 on average, if they perform even just a little below average on my site, I'm probably gonna make this based on my RPM, so I can go ahead and pay for that.
Yeah, so you're only looking at the one main keyword that you're targeting for a post, or do you kind of average like, I'll probably rank for 5 more?
I just go for the big one. Like it's like, okay, that's what the search volume is. Because another thing is 70% of searches online are long tail, so there's gonna be 3 or 4 or 5, 6 keywords. So you can't plan on everything. So I just kind of go for the big one, and then if someone's searching for that short term a lot, then there's going to be long tail surrounding that keyword. So that's just kind of how I find my targets, and then you can kind of gauge it there.
And last part of it, there's no click-through ratio, like preliminary searching, right? You can find that on Google Search Console, but can you go look what's the click-through ratio on this particular keyword?
Like the click-through rate from Google?
Yeah.
No. You just have to. Okay, go ahead.
So with the latest update on Google that they did in September, I got hit and I lost a lot of my high. I was number 1 for a lot of keywords, and I lost to sites like Food Network, allrecipes.com. How do I compete to get back to number 1? I might go down to like number 3, but how do I get back to number 1? What's my strategy?
I would go read that article that's on the Google Webmaster blog and read that, because that tells you exactly what they did, like what they were looking for when they made changes in September. Okay, go ahead.
So we've heard a lot about really qualifying whether we're wasting our time or doing good work. And personally, whenever I make an improvement, I kind of agonize over it, and I want to kind of cycle back and see if it's actually made an improvement. So can you talk about whether you're more fire and forget, or whether you have a structured way of doing feedback to make sure that your improvements are having an impact?
So me personally, I'm the same way. I do SEO, like that's my thing, and I still like agonize and like make changes and just like keep checking back, like, oh, did it make a difference all the time? Like I'm the same thing, but I try to leave it. Just like make the changes that I feel like, okay, this is good, and then move on, forget about it, and then like check back a couple months later. So that's kind of my way of dealing with it. Yeah, I usually give it a couple months.
So
Yeah.
these like bundles that you're doing, are you making a category or a tag or something to bundle them together?
I use categories, or I'll just do one big post that kind of acts like a category. I wouldn't do tags.
You wouldn't do that?
Yeah. In the back.
How do you deal with keywords that are not normal speaking grammar? So like.
Oh, don't. Yeah.
How do you actually use that?
Oh, so what I do, like I do all the keyword research as if I'm focusing on a specific keyword, but then once I found the keyword, it's about the topic. So it becomes Spanish desserts, you know, or like desserts in Spain, and you're going to use these phrases naturally throughout your content without like having a misspelling or something that's not grammatically correct. Go ahead.
So when other people link back to us, is it better to link to our domain or to a keyword that we're trying to rank for?
There's a good mix, but like at the beginning of having a blog, to your homepage is great. But once you like, if you're focusing on a specific page, then links to that page specifically are going to do great.
Should it be my blog name or should it be the words that I'm trying to rank for?
What you're trying to rank for within reason. You can get penalized for like using the same anchor text over and over and over again from other websites. But that's like, I mean, how many of us are going to do that? But yeah, just kind of vary it, make it natural, make it several keywords, not just like a 2-sentence or a 2-word phrase. And that's what I would do.
A lot of us are free bloggers, so if I'm going to link back to Confessions of a Big Queen, you know, then I'm going to say the recipe that I'm linking to.
Yeah.
Or should I be saying for name and post?
I would do the recipe you're linking to. Yeah.
And then follow up to that.
Go ahead.
Is it better to have 10 different bloggers linking to me than the same bloggers over and over? I feel like the answer is yes, but it's more spread out than just the same. Because I know we all have our tribes and
Yeah.
to our friends, but it's like that can kind of, you can only link back to one person so many times.
Right. In general, yeah, you want like a better variety, but there is this idea that if you get like the more links you get from one specific person, like they're less valuable. I don't believe that. Like think about it from a press perspective. If you were getting a bunch of links from like the New York Times, do you think that's bad? Like multiple links? Like no. So the same, like you don't want to get a link from every page on someone else's website, but you know if you get several links from the same site, it's a good thing. Go ahead.
Is it helping? So we had like the writers on my site. One of them used to write for Huffington Post and had a whole bunch of lists for links to from Huffington Post. But we heard at another conference recently that big publications like Huffington Post are now doing no follow as a blanket thing. Is that still having any positive impact at all once it's no follow or not?
Yeah. So yes, like followed links are better than no followed links. But Google has said that they are taking no follow links into account. Like they didn't say what that means, but like they do see them, and I think they have some value, but it's hard to say. So I put little effort into them, but if they happen, then it's like, okay, that's cool. Go ahead.
What about linking parties, blog hops on old posts? Do you get rid of them? Are they bad for you, or do they not matter at all? Or?
I think they're very little value, if any. Should you get, what's that?
Do they hurt you?
I don't know, to be honest. If you get penalized, then I would obviously remove them as soon as possible. But I don't know if you need to be proactive in removing them. I just don't know. Time for lunch, guys. But I'll be at lunch, so come find me. All right.